Fort Wayne FC hit the pitch on Saturday for their first preseason friendly, taking on FC Cincinnati 2 of MLS Next Pro. And while there's very little we know about that match, it does open up an intriguing conversation about development, structure, and what really prepares players to make the jump to a higher level. We'll dig into that, plus a busy weekend across the region from futsal regionals in Grand Rapids to late game drama with the Summit City Sentinels. And speaking of the Sentinels, later in the show, Alyssa Weiseman from the Sentinels women's team will join us to talk about this early part of their season and what you can expect as a fan next Sunday night at their home opener. So settle in. Preseason is here. Storylines are forming, and we're just getting started. This episode of Fort Wayne Footy is brought to you by OmniSource, one of America's largest processors, distributors, and managers of scrap and secondary metals based right here in Fort Wayne. Check out their services at omnisource.com. Fort Wayne Footy is also brought to you by LaserX, the Midwest's largest laser tag and arcade. They specialize in birthday parties, corporate team building, youth groups, sports teams, and family entertainment. You can find them at laserxfw.com. That's laser with a Z. And if you get over there, be sure to tell them Fort Wayne Footy sent you. Well, hey, everyone. Welcome to Monday night, a special episode of Fort Wayne Footy. It's actually our normal episode of Fort Wayne Footy that just got preempted by some football game last night that was had about as much scoring as a soccer game in the first half of the game. Did you all watch that game last night?
Yeah, the kicker should have won MVP.
We can't hear you nodding. Those of you, like, if you're listening later in the week, we've got 3 people on screen nodding right now and no one talking.
So the kicker should have won the MVP. He was the only one that used his foot in a football game.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And exciting game at the end. But it did push us to tonight because we figured people weren't going to watch us when there's American football on the Super Bowl. So we decided to jump on Monday night. So here we are. We've got a lot of you in the chat. Would love to have you join us as we go throughout the show. As we jump into our conversation, we've got a guest, Alyssa Weiseman, joining us later on. If you got questions for her and the Summit City Sentinels women's side, put those in the chat and we will get to those when we bring her on. Already in the chat, like if you guys are watching, we already have shouts for Autumn. Autumn is back tonight. Welcome back, Autumn, to Fort Wayne Footy. How are you?
I'm good, Brian. It's so fun to see all these comments. Long time no see. Yeah, for real.
It's been a long time. So we were getting ready pre-show and had some technical issues, and Autumn's like, I'm a rookie again, guys. I'm a rookie. I don't know if you can be a rookie again. Can you? Is that
you
is
can?
That legit?
I can make my own rules. Don't you know this?
Oh man. Well, hey, welcome back. We've got Paul here joining us tonight. Paul, how you doing tonight?
Good to see everyone. I've been participating in the weekly episodes, usually kind of behind the scenes, but it's fun to be back on camera and be one of the panelists. So have a good night.
Yeah, and Paul was a last minute fill-in tonight. Like he was not on the roster that we put out pre-show, but we had a change of plans, and Paul jumped in as a last minute substitute right before kickoff. So thanks for being available.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Todd is joining us again tonight. How are you, Todd?
Not too bad. Glad to make my Monday Night Football debut.
There you go. Oh, man, we've got a fun show tonight. We're going to kick it off with some quick news stories from around the area, starting with Fort Wayne FC. Fort Wayne FC played their first preseason friendly on Saturday against MLS Next side, FC Cincinnati 2. We're going to talk about that game a little bit more later, but I wanted to say this now and just get it out of the way because I know Christina's going to call me out if she's watching for talking about FC Cincinnati again on Fort Wayne Footy, but I have legitimate reason to do so this week because they played one another on Saturday. And I'll say this too, just today was kind of a full circle moment for me in that I just got on Facebook earlier, like at dinner time, and saw 3 years ago today, I was hosting a podcast called Good Podcasting, all about helping people create, launch, and grow their podcasts. That's what my business was a few years ago. That's what I was doing. And I had the host of Cincinnati Soccer Talk on my show 3 years ago tonight, to interview him about their show, how they grew, and like all the business side of podcasting. Showed up in my Facebook memories today. I posted it, and then it dawned on me, like, we're actually 3 years to the day that I had Cincinnati Soccer Talk on my show. I've been with them 3 years. I hosted last year, and tonight we get to talk about FC Cincinnati playing Fort Wayne FC. 3 years to the day of that. So full circle moment for me. It was kind of a surreal moment when I recognized all that. But we'll get into that game a little bit later on tonight. The futsal regionals, the youth futsal regionals, were happening in Grand Rapids this weekend. There were a lot of teams from Fort Wayne that were up there. Paul, I know you, Coach Anzini, Anthony Anzini, that's been on the show here. I think he coached 12 games this weekend. We got some updates from him. Yeah.
Wow.
Right. You mentioned that I'm kind of filling in for him tonight, but he was so busy doing the futsal thing that it just kind of got away. And so I'm happy to be here, but I was also excited to get some of the details from him. I did have another contact, Chris Gerbers, whose son was playing on the 09s, and sounds like the teams from Fort Wayne, some were from Alianza and some were kind of independent, but they were all competitive. Unfortunately, none of them won their groups, which this regional, if you win it, you go on to the national tournament in the summer. It's like a July thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you can still maybe get an at-large bid. But it's always exciting. I know my daughter played a lot of futsal growing up, and these are just really fun events to be at.
Yeah. My son went as a soccer team playing futsal a few years ago and ended up in the semifinal, lost in penalties, but the top two teams in their division went on to nationals. So they got to play in Kansas City that summer, which was really cool.
Yep.
So a lot of fun up there. It's a great environment, great atmosphere, really competitive. And so, that's where a lot of our players were this last weekend up in Grand Rapids playing some futsal. The Summit City Sentinels men's team was in Chicago on Saturday night and dropped a game 9-6 to Chicago. Paul, you were watching some of that game. I saw the second half, I think. What did you?
Yeah, we talked about when they went and traveled and played at Cleveland last week, and it's this season. Unfortunately, they're still winless. The men's pro team. It seems like it's a story of second halves for the Sentinels men. Like they just get down at halftime, and then there's like second half. Well, they won or they tied. If you just look at the score, so they're having some good moments. It's just getting those 4 quarters put together is just eluding them.
Yeah. Yep. The MLS X Sentinels, the extended league, played on Sunday morning, 11 a.m. against another Fort Wayne squad, 1927 SC. And that I was there for that one. That one was a back and forth battle all the way to the end. 6-5 until the Sentinels scored with 0.5 seconds left on the clock to tie it, to send it into overtime, and then drop the game to 1927. 1927 played a great game. They came out in the last 2.5 minutes, or the first 2.5 minutes. It was sudden death, extra time, and took it to the Sentinels and won the game. So a lot of good players out there on both sides. It was fun seeing 1927 in action again. I know they've been playing in this league. I've seen them a couple times, but they got a pretty solid team this year.
Agree.
The MLS Women that we'll talk to Alyssa a little bit later in the show host their first home match. Their first one got canceled, actually. So their home opener is this coming Sunday at 5 p.m. We'll talk a little bit about that. I do want to shout out Natalia, who was there yesterday at the men's game. So I got to sit and talk with her, meet her, talk about her time with the Sentinels Women. That would love to everybody to get out and see this team play next week. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll talk more about that later in the show. Fort Wayne FC had a game this weekend, and they had some new signings playing in this game just before the game was announced. Actually, like we found out 24 hours. Todd, was that right? About 24 hours before kickoff?
It was, yeah, real close to that, with no details.
Yeah, and maybe we'll talk about why here in just a minute. But a couple signings That's one we talked about last week in James Musa. And I just have to say, like, who wants to tell Amanda why she's wrong? Like, she's not on the show tonight. And so I guess I get the final word that he was a center back. Yeah. Anybody?
The website does say midfield, right?
Their website does say midfielder, but if you look at his starting position in 300 games that he's played professional soccer, it's about 96% center back. So I think I'm right. There we go. We'll find out.
Let's see what Coach Avery says. Coach Avery.
Maybe Coach Avery's got a different plan for him because there's so many backs on the roster. You know, maybe we got to push him up in the defensive midfield or something.
Yeah. And that's fine. I'm just saying what he's coming in as is a center back, and I'm right. Sorry, Amanda. Anyway, the guy's had a great career. I think 300 pro games, everything from New Zealand national team to Indy 11 to just clubs all over. Like, solid guy, solid player, one of the veterans that will be leading that back line or the defensive midfield line. Who knows? Depends on who you talk to. Jaden Smith is a 19-year-old defender out of England. We tried to do some research on this kid, and there's not a lot that we've been able to find aside from a couple highlights. Were you guys able to? Did you find anything about Jaden Smith? Jaden Smith.
It depends on which one. There's Jaden Smith. Loved him in the Karate Kid movie. I guess he also plays soccer in New Zealand, I believe. Yeah, tough guy to get a hold of.
19 years old though. It looks like he's a wing back, outside back. The highlights I did see, he's a guy that moves with pace, gets down the field, likes to attack, which that's the story with Michael Rempel. That's a story with Anthony Hernandez. And so we've got outside backs that like to get up the field and attack. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this kid slots in.
Who are they going to serve it to, Brian?
Who are they going to serve it to?
Yeah.
Good question. We have, we talked to Ryan Betcher a couple weeks ago, 6'3" attacking midfielder, and another new signing in Lillian Recole, who I believe is also, did he 6'3" too? Is that
6'4", I think.
6'4"? My goodness. Yeah. There are a lot of highlights on this guy out there. And I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch those. I dropped a link in the rundown if you had a chance to see that. Dude looks scary, like dangerous on the top line. Yeah. What'd you see in his highlights?
He can finish, right? It's just like a beast. He's not just cracking shots from far out. I mean, he's getting it, he's making it happen, and finishing, and that's what the striker has to do, and he does it.
Yeah.
I was impressed. You alluded to it a little bit. His size. I mean, he's a big target to play balls into.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, though, I don't think any of the highlight reel that I saw, 2025 highlights from UCF where he played, none of them came off his head. They were all 13 goals with his foot. So a 6'4" striker who can finish. He's got good footwork, dishes the ball well. He had a number of assists last year, 13 goals all season. He was 9th in NCAA Division I in goal scoring, I believe, is what I saw. And he's got pace, man. Like, half of the goals that I saw in this one highlight reel, like, he's riding the back line and timed his runs so well that I thought he was offside in half of them. But he's at midfield. He beats the back line and he takes it in. He's a guy with size. He's a guy with pace. He's a guy that got great foot skill. And I imagine if you serve a ball in the air to somebody that's 6'4", chances are he's got a better chance at it than most of the players on the field, unless you're playing a guy like Thiago Diaz, who's 6'4" on our back line too. So there's probably that. Go ahead, Todd. Were you going to jump in there?
No, I didn't have anything there.
Gotcha. I thought it must have been Autumn. She wanted to say something.
Why is it? Are you blaming me because I haven't been on in a while, Brian?
No, I'm just inviting
You
you
wanna
to
fight?
share a little bit. Yeah, let's fight. Yeah.
Okay, we can fight.
Yeah. I'll be on next week and you won't be, so I'll have the last word. So just ask Amanda.
Yeah, just ask Amanda. I'll call her up.
No, so anyway, some of these guys, Lily Enrico's accolades, right? Sun Belt Conference Newcomer of the Year in 2025. All Sun Belt Conference first team, Sun Belt Conference Tournament Most Outstanding Player, and Sun Belt Conference All Tournament Team, all in 2025. He's 23 years old. He's only been in the States for 6 months. And here he is with an opportunity to play with Fort Wayne FC. And we have the opportunity to see, gosh, man, we've waited. We've waited for some strikers. We've waited for some attacking players. And now with the two combined, we have 22 goals represented last season, 9 from Ryan and 13 from Lillian. So we've got an attacking core that looks to be pretty solid here.
And there's still 10 players or so to sign that we haven't heard about. So
That's true.
Yep. So some of those guys we know, we just haven't talked about here on the show, and I don't want to go there yet, but each week as we see pieces that come into play and players that are signed, and we see this team begin to fill out, what are you how are your opinion on how this team is shaping up to play on the field? Is it different than 2 weeks ago when we talked about formation and how the style of play, or is it still looks to be what we talked about then?
So only got one up top technically, right? We can play like a 9-1 formation or an 8-1-1 or something like that. But no, the question, being sarcastic, but the question was, the league, you have to play to win. Win results matter. It's not like USL 2 where you can develop, you can drop some, and then the guys go back to college and play. So like the stakes are a lot higher here, and we've heard from a couple sources that that kind of dictates a certain style of play. A lot of it's just get it out of your own end and transition and get up the field quickly. You're not going to mess around with it too much and back. But I think Coach Avery wants to try to do that. But is he going to be allowed to? Like, is the league going to give him that freedom to do that, or will he have to change tactic?
You guys feel free to jump in on that. I'll speak my piece here and then give you a chance to think. But I don't know that the league can dictate any particular team style of play, in the sense that I know you're not saying the league is saying you have to play like this, but the way the other teams play, like, you have to adapt to. But if you watch, every team has their own style, right? If you watch any other leagues, right, there are teams that are forward pressing, high press. We talked about Philadelphia a few weeks ago when Ryan was on. He grew up playing in their academy, or played a year in their academy. Like this last season under Bradley Carnell, they were a full throttle, push up the field, press as hard as you can, as high as you can, as fast as you can, right? And then you have teams like Nashville that have played for years and years that they just park the bus. They just sit inside the 18 and they wait for a chance to go forward. And so both in the same league, I'm curious to see what that looks like in USL 1, because there were 14 teams last year and there's 18 now. Like, style of play could drastically change with 4 new teams in the league.
Cool.
And I think it'll be up to the coach and the players to figure out what works in this league. Can they dictate the style of play, or is a team going to dictate that to them? And we'll only know that answer once they start playing.
So let me throw that out there. So, like, as we get into this, we'll slide into our conversation about the preseason friendly against FC Cincinnati 2 that we don't know much about, right? But there's some things that we can pick out maybe on why they played them, and like, it's MLS Next Pro, like it's a different league. What are the differences between the leagues? So we can speculate on a lot of that. So I guess maybe the first question, or the first thing to think about, is like, that's a different league, plays a different style of play. Is that it's competition, it's preseason, and that's valuable time, valuable touches, get a full game in, right? But it might not be the style you'll be facing the rest of the season. So good place to start, maybe not, I don't know. But it does give you a chance to see some of your players, the 13 you have signed, and there's 10 or 11 more, right, that are not signed. You get a chance to see them play against real competition. And I will say this, and then I'll throw it back to you guys for some thoughts. FC Cincinnati 2, because I know some of the inside of that, only have like 5 players from last year. They've got a lot of new players too. So they're trialing a lot of guys. They're testing some things out, which is probably why we didn't hear much about the game. Both sides are trying to keep it quiet because they're looking at players that they don't want people to know that they're looking at. So let me ask this question, get you guys a chance to weigh in here. From Scott in the chat, he says, do you think they'll fill the lineup or leave some spots open so it's easier to make some moves as the season goes?
Is there a roster limit, or is it limited by your budget? I honestly don't know.
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah. I imagine there's a roster limit. I don't know exactly what it is, but we have heard Coach Avery say they want to keep 20 players.
Yeah.
Around that 20 mark, maybe give or take 1 or 2. But I think 20 is what they're shooting for. And I imagine you can have a roster bigger than that. So to answer that question, I think he's leaving spots open, but I don't think it's necessarily to be able to make moves as the season goes. Could be, but I think it's to focus on developing these 20 guys so we can push them up to higher leagues.
And you also have the option of those short-term contracts in USL too, that you can bring in a guy for, I forget the amount of time, couple weeks and trial them out.
Those kind of one-shot deals, I think, right?
Yeah, and then you have to either sign them for the season or let them go somewhere else and try.
There was so we don't know the results of that game against FC Cincinnati 2. But Coach Avery did say, there was a quote from him that he said, we also got to see 10 different trialists and game situations, which really helps our evaluation process. Overall, it was a valuable day with plenty of good moments to highlight, as well as teachable moments that will help shape our training in the week ahead. So they do have another friendly coming up this week, I saw, with Bethel University coming to town. It is closed again to the public and to the media. So they are playing different levels, different teams, just trying to get the fitness level up, I think is probably a big deal there as well. There's a podcast that we've referenced before on the show. It's a group of guys from Portland Hearts of Pine. I think it's called Footwork Podcast. Check me on that. Just make sure I get that right. Guys that have played there, guys that do play there, and talking about the differences between MLS Next Pro, some of them have played there, and USL League One, and the conversation on which is more of a development league. Paul, I know you're the one that shared that in the chat. Any thoughts from that you pulled out from that video that really stood out to you?
Yeah, well, Footwork is the podcast, and shout out to them because this is the second time we've used them for some of these good deep dives. They have a deep dive on USL 1, the contract stuff that Todd talked about, and they're covering some topics that are really tough to dig up otherwise. But yeah, the thing that kind of surprised me, so people out there, you've probably heard of MLS Next if your son plays. You've heard of MLS. And the MLS Next Pro is like kind of squeezed in between there. It's like a minor league system for the MLS, usually associated with an MLS team, but not necessarily. You can have your own independent one. Mm-hmm. I think the thing that surprised me the most is it's a little more not like Wild West-ish. It's maybe not quite as structured as the USL 1, and the priorities are different. Just like a minor league team is. They're trying to get, it can be a rehab place or a recovery place for some MLS players to drop down or find players who are going to move up. Whereas USL 1, I don't think quite has that same goal in mind. We talked about results are what matters. In the MLS Next Pro, it's more of like the individual player maybe matters more.
Yeah. Yeah, a couple things that they talked about there. You hit on a couple of them. One of the ones that he highlighted, and again, these are players, former players, current players with the squad that have seen action in both leagues. And so the one guy I know talked about the fact that, you're not in USL 1, you are not going to be playing against a guy that is making a couple $1 million. As an MLS player who might be rehabbing from injury and playing on the 2 squad just to get his fitness up, right? You're not going to see that in USL 1. You did talk about results matter, whereas MLS Next, they're trying to develop players to push them up to the senior roster, which some MLS academies and MLS Next Pro teams are doing that really well. Many others are not yet. And so you've got MLS Next Pro teams that are popping up. There's several I just heard about today popping up in North Texas, right? That are not necessarily affiliated with an MLS team, but they are a development team to try and get players into Major League Soccer. Where USL, Coach Avery told us, the average age is like 26, 27, maybe 28 for some of these teams. These aren't guys that are looking to make it in MLS because they're unfortunately at 26, 27, 28, your time's almost passed, right? To break into Major League Soccer. So these guys are looking to still play competitively, still play professionally. And it's not so much a development league. It is a league where, as you said, Paul, results matter, right? And so you're one thing he said in that podcast, and we'll put a link to it in our show notes after the show. I think it's really, really valuable to look at. One of the things he talked about is MLS Next Pro coach can keep their job even if they have a losing season if they promote 1 or 2 or 3 players from their squad to the senior roster, because that's what they're built to do. That's not going to happen in USL 1. It's about results. You want to win, you want to be top of the table, and you want to get to that postseason, right? And so some of the differences there that we're learning between these leagues that we thought were valuable to put out there and share, which, again, if you've heard Coach Avery talk, he's approaching this very differently than most of these other, and the club, not just Coach Avery, but the club itself is approaching building a roster. And I would imagine Ollie Gage is a big part of the plans for what they're trying to do here with this club and build a roster that develops players to move them on. So almost like an MLS Next squad, but they want to develop players and not hoard and keep these players, throughout their career. They want to develop them and push them on, which I really love. Okay. Any thoughts on that before we move on? All right.
Say something real quick about the scrimmage itself. It's closed. The next one's going to be closed. I think that's as frustrating it is for us. I think maybe your car is going to be going around the tech parking lot a few times if I had to guess. but the fact it's closed, it gives them the freedom. It gives them the freedom to make those mistakes and without the pressure. And whether it's an MLS Next Pro team they're playing or Bethel, I don't think the opponent really matters as long as they can give them good competition.
Yeah. I missed the first half of that. I think my earbuds were they were glitching. I didn't really hear what you said there.
The beaten bus, yeah.
I will say there's a question in chat that I'd really like to know the answer to.
Same.
Was it the one about
who would Brian have been rooting for?
I see it.
Where do the allegiance lie?
I have to go with Fort Wayne FC on this one. I honestly don't know a whole lot about FCC 2. They're 2 squads. So I know 4 or 5 of the players that stuck around last year, but I haven't been following their signings like I have Fort Wayne FC. So yeah, absolutely. Fort Wayne FC is who I was going for with that one, but don't tell Cincinnati Soccer Talk that. One other thing real quick before we get to our second half of the show and bring Alyssa in here is the idea one of the gentlemen mentioned on the show that we just talked about is the idea of playing in front of large crowds, right? Is different for a lot of these players coming in that have played in college, They maybe have played USL2 that gets, a handful of players there. Fort Wayne FC had, what was it? 1488 was their average attendance. Is that what you found?
Yeah, 1488 with a high of 17.
Yeah.
100.
So
And they were a
1700.
very well attended USL2 team.
Yeah. And I know Three Rivers Regiment and other fans in Fort Wayne traveled to games that they outnumbered the home fans, I've heard, in some of these stadiums. So playing in this league is different for guys. And so they talked about, the nerves playing in front of what could be 9,200 fans at Fort Wayne FC Park next year, if we can fill that stadium, right? In year one. So something to think about, like guys playing in front of thousands of people for the first time that they've never done before. Autumn, what's the largest crowd you've ever played in front of?
Oh gosh.
1,400?
Yeah. Yeah, sure, we can go with that number. No. Maybe like 50? I don't know. Whatever Huntington brought in back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a big jump. Imagine going from 50 to even 1,000 people at, Bishop Darcy Stadium last year, 1,400 people, to what could be, some of these stadiums, Portland Hearts of Pine, like I think were the highest average last year at 5,800. Yeah. Like that's a big difference, right? Going from League 2 to League 1 and playing these bigger stadiums. Paul, you're connected. You got a buddy in Boise, right? 7,000 seat stadium they're building, 6,000 season tickets.
They've almost sold out. I mean, that area is pumped, and they're dumping a bunch of money. Like I think the stadium might be privately funded, but there's just like River Greenway, and they're putting this huge park. They want to make it an attraction, and people can access it, on bike and whatever. But that area has a lot of like Northern California transplants. Someone who's maybe been around the soccer culture more. A lot of maybe Pacific Northwest type transplants as well, and they're really pumped, and I'm excited for them. I think it's great. And it's a brand new team too. They're dumping a lot of money into it. I think they're doing it the right way. And I kind of see what they're doing and what Fort Wayne's doing has some similarities to it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mentioned that to say a lot of exciting things are happening, right? Players playing in front of bigger crowds than they're used to. A lot of, new things happening around the league with 4 new teams coming in, Fort Wayne FC being one of them. But I also mentioned it to just lay out the gauntlet, like for Fort Wayne, like they've got like almost a full stadium of season ticket holders in Boise. Like, what are we going to get here in Fort Wayne? Like, we've got a bigger stadium. I think we've got more people. I'm excited to see what this could be. If you don't have your tickets yet, check them out. You can purchase your individual seats, your family seats. You can pick where you want to sit in that stadium. And tickets are still available. So head over to their website if you're interested in doing that. And meanwhile, we're going to cut to our mid-roll ads, and we're going to bring in Alyssa Weiseman here in just a moment. I got to find the video first.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Dead One Pest Control. If you've been looking for a local pest control service in Fort Wayne and surrounding communities, look no further than Dead One Pest Control. They work with both residential and commercial clients to get rid of all types of pests, including those dreaded bed bugs. No job is too big or small for them to handle, so you can count on their capable crew for whatever local pest control service you need. Reach out today to schedule an appointment at deadonepestcontrol.com. And remember, the only good pest is a dead one. And if you're looking for tree service of any kind, including removal, trimming, stump grinding, or landscaping, check out R&T Tree Experts. They work year-round, even through these cold winter months, so you don't have to wait for spring. Just visit their website, fill out their estimate request form, and be sure to tell them Fort Wayne Footy sent you to receive 10% off your service.
All right. Thanks to all of our sponsors that help us do what we do and our Patreon supporters. We are going to recognize, we'll get you up on the screen here as well, Christina Copeland, Ryan Smeltzer, and the Snyder family. If you're interested in joining the Footy Faithful, joining us on Patreon, we have $2 tiers. It's easier than ever to join us. We have a free tier. The $2 tier gets you some extra content, $5, $10 per month. Perks include extra weekly content, access to our Discord server, and a discount on all of our merchandise at that $10 tier. So thanks for supporting us. Thanks for helping us do what we do. And I know we've got some more coming on here shortly that we'll talk about and give you some recognition when our sponsors join us. So with that said, we are going to bring in Alyssa to the stage. Let me get this situated and get this off of the screen here. Alyssa, how you doing tonight?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, good to have you. Thanks for being patient and hanging out backstage that whole first half as we rambled on and on about Fort Wayne FC and MLS Next Pro, and hopefully that was a fun conversation to listen in on. Alyssa, you, just by way of introduction, you're from the Fort Wayne area. You played high school at Homestead. You went on and played at Trinity Christian College in Illinois. You've been playing in some what's the team that you've been playing with the last couple of years before you got to the Sentinels?
Yeah, Latin Girls. I've been playing
Girls.
with them, over 10 years now.
Okay. So you've got a lot of experience there playing with them. You joined the Sentinels last year in their first season of MLIS, the Major League Indoor Soccer, and you're into your 2 games into your second season. So welcome to the show. We're excited to have you. Looking forward to hearing more about the Sentinels this year. But Alyssa, tell us a little bit about, what did I miss? What do we need to know about you and your soccer career before we get too deep into the Sentinels talk?
Oh, goodness. Gosh, you covered quite a bit, really. So I'll go back pre-Homestead, I guess. So this is for people who have lived in Fort Wayne a long time. So my original very first league as a 4-year-old was Trissa, if anybody remembers that. I think it was like Three Rivers Youth Soccer Association, maybe.
Yep. I think my kids played the last year that was ever in existence.
All right. Yeah. And then from there, I grew into, I think it was called Fort Wayne Select. And if anyone remembers, it had you were grouped by where in Fort Wayne you live. So South Fort Wayne wore this color jersey and North Fort Wayne had this color jersey. And it, so that was always some friendly Fort Wayne competition. And then I played with Fort Wayne Citadel for most of my travel career. And then transitioned into Fort Wayne Fever, which eventually then now is Fort Wayne United. There was kind of some movement there, but I was just briefly with Fort Wayne Fever. And then, like you said, at Homestead, and was lucky enough one of my years I got to, we played Carmel in the state championships. I won't date myself with a year, but so that was a really good experience. And played at Trinity Christian College, and 3 of the years I was there was lucky enough to go to nationals. So one of the years was with the National Christian Collegiate Conference. So that's the same one that Bethel just won. If you know Layla from our team, they just won that national tournament this year. And then my junior and senior year at Trinity, we went to the NAI national tournament. In my junior year, we lost in the Final Four to the team that eventually went on to win it. So it was also a really good experience down at Embry-Riddles where the games were played. But
yeah, cool. You got a lot of good experience, not just soccer experience, but really highly competitive soccer experience. So last year, I knew one of the other players on the team last year, Juliana. I don't know if she's listening tonight. Hello, Juliana, if you are. We went to watch her, and I was surprised. I was like, oh, Alyssa's out there playing. This is great. I didn't know you were still playing. So it was fun to see you out there. And you captained the team last year, and I believe again this year, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you get connected with the Sentinels then?
Oh, it was it's just the most random story. So last year, just scrolling on social media in the summer, and happened to just see this post pop up about this new women's professional indoor team coming to Fort Wayne. And, we haven't had a higher league kind of than those fun weekend futsal, indoor, outdoor leagues and stuff for a long time. There was that W League that I played in back in the 2005, 2006 range. We had that for a couple years. But so I saw that and I was like, worst case scenario, I get a really good 1 hour cardio workout and I get to have some fun playing soccer. So I just showed up and I didn't really know anyone there. I didn't know the coach. The coach didn't know me, which was kind of unusual. So then it just kind of went from there, basically.
Was that Latin girls team? Was that outdoor or indoor?
We play a little bit of everything. So we play right now. We're playing in a futsal league on Saturday nights out at Headwaters Church. That's I think it's called LDS League, like Liga Deportiva. And then on Sundays we play in a league at the Plex.
Cool.
Alyssa, I have a question. Since you've played both, and they're very different games, which do you prefer, outdoor or indoor?
Oh, the girls and we have this conversation a lot, actually. So right now, I would say my favorite is probably futsal. It is just so fast. There's so many goals, kind of like how indoor, right? Just constant action.
Yep.
The game can change in a moment's notice. So I think at the moment, I'm really, really enjoying futsal.
And from what I understand, that's how you're training, right? To play indoor. You're training, I believe, at Turnstone. And so it's all futsal. And then you're going onto a bigger field with walls and turf. How does that translate?
Yeah, great research there. So right now in Fort Wayne, there is just a shortage of indoor training spaces, specifically turf and turf with walls. As you know, we have like a huge youth soccer population, right? So they get first priority. They're on the fields until like 10 o'clock. It really just came as out of necessity, but we've been training at Turnstone. So I think a little bit, our first game, we kind of realized, okay, clearly there's a big difference there between training on the futsal court and then kind of trying to translate that to the bigger field, the walls, the turf, and this and that. So we just knew we had to make some adjustments and we're working on that. But it would be awesome if there was, some more turf space out there that we could take advantage of.
Todd, anything to say about that?
I was going to say there is a definite need for more turf in this city. Thankfully, there's a new facility coming in the next year or so in New Haven that'll help that. But the season so far, a couple of games, how's it been going? I know you played up in Kalamazoo, and they're coming to town this weekend. What can we expect?
So we're 1-1 currently. And then first game was against Chicago, second game against Kalamazoo. And then Kalamazoo's coming to Fort Wayne next Sunday. So games at 5:00. It's our home opener. So we're really trying to do some exciting things. We have just such a passion for youth soccer and trying to grow youth soccer and developing and just really trying to, make more opportunities and, grow it in any way we can or help it in any way we can. So we're doing a youth night. So any player that wears their team jersey or club jersey to the game will get in for free. We're doing some raffles directed at youth players. We're doing some, I'm pretty excited about this, so I won't give away all the details. We're kind of finalizing it still, but we're doing a halftime competition. Kind of think like run, dribble, shoot competition for you, anyone that wants to go out on the field and do that. So I'm pretty excited about that too.
So you didn't give it all away, but run, pass, and shoot is what we can.
Gotta show up. Show up. The games are fun for those of you who haven't watched the men play the women's games. I've watched yours live streams, and they're fun. It's high energy, so I hope people can watch it live.
Yeah, so 5:00 on Sunday night at the Classic City Center. It's up in Waterloo, just across the street from DeKalb High School up there. So it is a trip up there if you're from Fort Wayne, but a lot of exciting soccer happening So yeah, definitely get up there and check that out. Autumn, you look like you were about to jump in and ask a question.
I was, but you took it, so it's fine. It's whatever.
Well, good. Did I really?
Yeah, I was gonna ask like if we wanted to come support, where would we go? But you covered that one.
Hey, we did. Let me ask you this. I know there's a few more questions that our team wants to get to. I just want to. You talked about wanting to grow the youth soccer in the area and really give pour back into the community that helped develop you and whatnot. My question is, like, there's several local girls on this team. You mentioned Layla from Carroll. We had Maddie Schwalm from Leo. We have Nuri from Northrop, I believe, correct? And Michelle Austin. Like, there's a number of local players on this team. And so my question then is, these are faces that maybe some of these girls have recognized, have seen play when they were younger. They came and watched Carroll High School play, or they're watching Northrop High School play now. And some of these girls are playing on this professional team, right? So, and you didn't really have that growing up, but you get to be part of that now. What does it mean to you being a player on a women's professional team here in Fort Wayne, knowing that there's a younger generation of girls that have something now close to home with faces they recognize, playing really highly competitive soccer in front of them?
Yeah. It means just so much to all of us to be able to do that. And just we have such a committed group of women on the team that the team is so strong, and we want to, just keep it strong so we can continue it for those younger girls. That way they have this avenue as they get older, if they want it. I know personally for me, soccer is absolutely my favorite form of physical activity. And so if I can continue that, I want to, and if I can grow it so other people can continue to enjoy it as well, then I want to do that. And I think all of us just, kind of feel like that. And, I don't know the percentages, but what are the stats? Like, kids who play sports have better self-esteem, better confidence. They had better time management skills, all those positive attributes of not just being an athlete, but being like a good, solid human being. So if we can offer that and do our part in helping out with that and giving back to the community, then that's absolutely what we want to do.
Yeah. Cool. Any other questions for Alyssa tonight?
Good luck.
Thank you.
That's not a question.
Good luck. No, so rivalry. So the league has grown from, it was like 4 teams last year. Now you have like 2 divisions. Is Chicago or Kalamazoo kind of becoming, would you say, your rival? You saw Chicago last year in the championships, right?
Yeah. Gosh. Yeah. I would say, those of us who were on the team last year and then still on it this year, I would say Chicago is that one that I want to be. Cause like you said, yeah, we lost to them in the national championship last year. We were actually up, I think it was 5-4 going in the 4th quarter. And then ended up losing. I think the final score was 8-7 or 7-6, something like that. So happened in maybe the final minute, those quick scoring goals, like I was saying earlier. So yeah, Chicago, I think, is really, the one that we want to beat.
Yeah.
Knowing, sorry, Brian, I'm cutting you off.
Do it.
Sorry, buddy. Knowing that you went to the championship last year, kind of looking forward to this year, how are you guys preparing for that next step and in hopes that you can go win it this time?
Oh, great question. Gosh, I think it just comes back to the team's commitment. We are showing up at practices, putting in the work. We are watching, all the other teams' games. We're watching our games over and over, just looking for those little changes that we can make that will make us better in the next game and the next game and the next game. Just trying to hone in on all that stuff. So,
yeah. How much carryover is there, like players from last year that stuck around and played again this year? I was curious.
That's a good question. I was thinking about that earlier. I would say probably half of the team are, or maybe a little more, half to 3/4 of the team are the same. And then there's a good chunk of new players as well.
Yeah. We do have a question in the chat here. Do you have tryouts? I know a really good goalie. Are you shaking your head there, Autumn? Is that a reference to somebody you know?
I don't know. Is it?
Do you have tryouts preseason? Do you add players as the season goes? Like how many can you roster? What does that look like?
Yes, and yes. So yeah, in the summer, I think there's usually like 2 or 3 open tryouts. Usually the players who have been on the team will attend just to get some time together, get some touches, things like that. And then additionally, we're inviting players to practices constantly. We're kind of a open practice team as well. So it's always good to just bring in other competition. So yeah, if you are possibly that said goalie, you could absolutely come out and hang out with us if you would like. You have an open invitation.
Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah. Well, if Fort Wayne Footy were to show up at a training session to do like maybe just to watch and get some interviews, is it open for that?
Absolutely. Yes. We love the community support and we want to give right back. So yeah.
Fantastic. Well, Alyssa, really appreciate you joining us tonight and sharing a little bit about your experience as a player, but even more so about Summit City Sentinels women's team, what people can look forward to next week. If you're watching, if you're listening later in the week, mark 5:00 this Sunday night on your calendar. Get out to the Classic City Center up in Waterloo. It's not too far. It's not that far from Fort Wayne. Drove it in the snow just yesterday for the MLS X game. You can make it up there. I did attend 1 or 2 of the women's games last year. I can tell you they're a lot of fun. I think one of them was Chicago when they were in town, and you guys were like, I think it was 7-6 that game too. Like it was a battle. So a lot of fun to watch. Get out there. It's youth night, right? Is there something about admission if kids have a jersey or something? Did I see that somewhere?
Yeah.
Were you not paying attention, Brian?
Did she talk about that already?
Yeah.
My bad.
No, that's okay. I'll repeat it. No worries. So youth night, kids, wear your team or club jersey. You'll get in for free. We're doing raffles. So we have raffles that have been given that are being given to us, or we're doing. So we're representing Sports Club has made a donation to us, Fort Wayne United, Carlos Cruz with Alianza and the Rangers. They have all donated some raffles for us. So that's pretty exciting. So absolutely. We're going to do those halftime competitions, like I said. So yeah, we really, really want it to be a fun home opener.
Love it. Well, get out, support them. 5:00 Sunday night at the Classic City Center. Alyssa, thanks for joining us. Thanks for sharing all about the Sentinels, and hopefully we get a crowd out there. Watch you guys this Sunday.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, for sure. You're welcome to hang out backstage for a few if you want to, as we wrap up the show. All right, y'all. We're getting close to the top of the hour here at 10:00. We do want to mention we have a merch store, and some of you have already purchased some things from that. There's a link in the description. There's a QR code on the screen if you're watching us live or you're watching later in the week. That'll take you right to the store. All of that helps to support what we do. That Patreon, our sponsorship, we are grateful for all of that. We are looking to expand this season. You've heard us talk a little bit about that with some writers. We've got some photographers joining us, and we're so excited about what's going to happen this year. If you're interested in being part at any level of what we're doing at Fort Wayne Footy, we're specifically, if you're looking to get your feet wet, writing, sports journalism, we'd love to bring on some folks to do some pregame stuff and some post-match write-ups and things like that. So hit us up. info@fortwaynefooty.com is the best place to get a hold of us, or drop a note in the chat and we'll get back with you on that. So I do want to mention before we wrap up the show, there's a series that the USL is doing right now on USLLeague1.com called Get to Know. That's the series they're doing, Get to Know, and it's all the teams from around USL 1. just stories of players, history of the club, what their colors mean, what their crests look like, and why, and all of that stuff. It is a great way. I've learned a lot just reading just a handful of articles. Fort Wayne was featured just this last week, I believe, and that maybe it was 2 weeks ago. They were featured as part of that. Great way to get to know some of the clubs and other teams around the league. So be sure to check that out. Any of you that got a chance to skim any of those articles, anything stand out, something you learned about one of the teams that you're now even more excited to see that team when they come to town?
What stood out to me, and it was because I was looking at attendance figures and stadiums and stuff. At least of those teams that they've posted so far, Fort Wayne seats 2,000 more than the next closest stadium.
Mm.
So that could be a good home field advantage if we can fill that stadium.
Yeah. I believe the article about Fort Wayne even said they had a chance to break the single game record for USL 1 because of the size of the stadium if we fill it. So exciting stuff there. Yeah. Check that out.
I think it's a great idea. Yeah, I haven't skimmed through all of them, but yeah, I think the idea is great because you're going to learn, maybe create a bit of a community of USL 1 fans. I've even checked out some podcasts of the other teams, just like, hey, what are they up to? So I think this just helps add to the content people can research.
Yeah. And that kind of leads into where I wanted to wrap up the show tonight is we will be doing some interviews with other podcasters. I'm working on getting those scheduled now. We've got connections with New York Cosmos, a podcast they're doing up there. So we're going to talk with them. Portland Hearts of Pine has one of the greatest supporters groups and cultures in USL 1. We've talked to them a little bit. We're going to get them on the show. And so we're going to do our part as well to introduce all of you who are listening and fans of this show to the teams, the fans, and the stories from around USL 1. So stay tuned. We're really excited about that. Lots more to come here on Fort Wayne Footy as the preseason rolls on. That'll do it. And that's full time for this episode of Fort Wayne Footy. Thanks for joining us.